Hi, this is Bernardo from Tupin Games, and today I'm here to bring you our introductory campaign. This is going to be a kind of tutorial that we'll be releasing along with the campaign so you can get started and introduce your players to multiverse design. We created this small area to serve as a sort of lobby, where your players will appear and spawn. And they'll be able to prepare their characters, a place where they can interact until everything is ready. However, in this same area, there's a specific spot dedicated to RPG Masters. It's a place we set aside so you can read through the campaign before it starts and be aware of everything that might happen. This is an introductory level campaign, meaning it's just for the first levels, so you can use it as a foundation and as a way to bring your players together before continuing with your own campaign, or use it as an example to create your own. Here, we'll have small locations. These locations represent each map. If you look here, we're on a starting island, where there's an arrow showing where to begin. Here, there are objects known as totem objects. These objects disappear when they're in the player's view. The player can't see these objects even if the button is active. These objects are for the game master's use. They include objects like lights, our asset to limit levels, and also the asset we'll use the most in this campaign, which is the asset where we have a kind of history or comments. Here you'll be able to find all kinds of information you need to play. This information is dedicated and spread throughout all the maps. Some have just one, some have multiple, or in the more intense maps, there can be several, to the point where you have to read one per room. Here we also have another very important object for the campaign, which is this pawn. This pawn. It serves as a way to take you from one map to another or teleport a group within the same map. If you look at its options, you'll always see that it shows you where it will take you and which specific pawn on that map. Once you click here, you'll be redirected to that map. Here we also have the level asset. When this asset is activated, it will cut everything along the line defined by it. You can move it up or down, and it will define for you what the players will be able to see or not. It's very useful when you're in combat in indoor locations, and you need to hide the ceiling. Only what's happening inside. In this campaign, all the characters have character sheets and are ready for a possible combat. It's not recommended that everyone be in combat at the same time. Many of them might just be commoners and are not recommended for battle. There are also combat scenarios with strategies that game masters can use for more experienced or inexperienced players, like in one of our first encounters, which is a very early fight where the players will face a specific monster, just a bear. This bear may or may not be alone, depending on how many players are in your group, or on how much experience they have. If the players are beginners, it's recommended to stick with just the bear. But if not, you can use both the bear and the owl. The owl has specific abilities to constantly give your bear advantages. This will make the fight harder and even more deadly. Some monsters also have the ability to be camouflaged, so pay attention, because many of them can even fool the DM's own eyes. If you come across monsters like these, for example, it's very likely that they have the ability to be disguised, either by posing or hiding in a more concealed spot. It's worth taking a good look at where they are, because many of them can simply blend in with the scenery. We've also added 2 rest points during this adventure. Players might want to rest more often, and you just need to load the map and take them to these rest points. You can allow as many rests as necessary, depending on your group. It's also worth mentioning that there are some encounters that aren't mandatory, in other words, they're optional battles. For some of these encounters, you'll have characters who can handle them in ways other than fighting. But of course, they're ready to fight if needed. These encounters will require your players to make more checks, or more social interactions, in this way replacing combat with another type of check. There are also some encounters that involve hordes. In these battles, you can increase or decrease the number of monsters depending on how many players you have. The campaign is designed for around 4 to 5 characters, but if you have players with very powerful stats or very experienced players, you might need to raise the stakes a bit. That way, you can increase the number of monsters on the map. You can read and swap things out as you like. This campaign is designed to introduce the Game Master and players to the multiverse and give a taste of how the GM can use the campaign to create their own. By clicking on the totem, you can go into its settings and simply click the Go button. It will send you to the next map. This next map will load and be ready for you and your players to start playing. It's also worth noting that this map won't be available for your players to see right away. The map comes with an active setting, which is this moon icon down here. When this moon is active, your players won't be able to see what's happening. They'll be looking at a dark screen. Just keep this in mind, because if your players aren't seeing anything, you can simply check or uncheck this option and everything will be fixed. Like I said, if you click on this pawn and it's set up for the same map, it can take you and the group to this new location. As I showed earlier, there's also this asset, which, when activated, will cut the map. That way, you can just play the game without any worries. If you get lost on the map, we've also made sure to add visual details. These visual details help you see where all our information objects are located. As you can see, over there we have a beam of light. And there's another one over there in the forest, which is where we'll have our first battle of this adventure. Keep an eye on them, because if you're having trouble finding your way, just look around and you'll spot these beams. Once you follow them, you'll find your way around the map much more easily. If you want to use a monster, since most of them are already set up to not be visible, you can simply select a creature. Go go into its settings and remove it. That way, your players will be able to see what was once hidden, and the opposite is also true. If you have something you want to keep invisible to your players, just activate the setting and it will disappear. Well, with these tools, we hope that game masters are ready to have the best possible experiences with Multiverse. They'll be able to use this campaign to introduce new characters and players, and they can also use it as a reference to create their own campaigns. You can use it and even modify it however you need. We hope you have great games and awesome roles. See you next time.